You know what you could do if you can't go out and you can't afford a 1070 Ti? You know what you could do? I know
what you could do.
What?
Get an Xbox One X.
You could get an Xbox One X. that was our clumsy segue there.
Here we go.
Xbox One X versus PC.
Boom. Yesterday we had a lot of fun.
We did.
Especially
and
Gordon.
Gordon had a lot of beer.
If people didn't tune in yesterday, please catch up.
Yes.
Catch them up on what happened.
Who knew how many console fans we had? I had no idea.
Yeah, so
fans.
I don't know if everyone's been following our live builds. We started obviously with Brad's idea of a 1920 by 1080 Threadripper build. And then we did the Retro Pi build with Adam.
Good times.
And I have the third build, and that was yesterday's live build of an Xbox One X equivalent PC, or roughly equivalent. So the build itself, really simple, nothing fancy or spectacular happened, except for the fact where the gigantic RX 580 I borrowed from Brad did not fit in the case I had chosen. So I spent, oh God, what was it, like an hour or so after we did the build, moving everything to another case so I could actually start my benchmarks. But the whole thing is based on an article I wrote back in June when the Xbox One X was officially announced. And that was just to see for funsies, can you actually replicate an equivalent PC at the same price point? And given the fact that RAM is inflated, and graphics cards are inflated, and the fact that 4K Blu-ray drives are really expensive right now, the answer is no. And the answer is still no now in October. I was hoping, it's November now. I was hoping it would change, and it didn't.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the mining craze would die down, that RAM prices would start to maybe become a little more reasonable. But no, it actually went up. I think the basic build, which was a standard Blu-ray drive and an FX 8300, it was like $650 when I first priced it out in June, and I think it went up to like $700.
Man,
is that the RAM or the SD?
It was everything. So the RAM went up a little bit. The case went up a little bit because I was also using a combination of sales and rebates. So I was literally going to look for the cheapest things I could find within reason. Let's see what else went up. The storage went up ever so slightly. I just happened to catch it at a good time, I guess, in June. In June, because the scarcity of 5X or RX 580s was so bad, I had to take the theoretical out of stock price. So now that they're actually in stock, I actually have to use the even more inflated in stock price. Because back in June, it was like, okay, well, Super Blitz or Bits, I forget the name of the store, had it for like $267, but it's out of stock. So that was the price at the time. But now if you look for a similar card, it's almost $300, but it's in stock. So I have to take that price because if you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it, right? So all that stuff was like pumping up the cost. It was nuts.
It's a bad time to build a PC.
It is. I was really astonished. I thought that the price would actually drop. I thought it was going to go to like at least like 600 by this point in the year, but it went the other way.
Whoops.
Yeah, that's just sucky.
Oh, the other part too is the 8300 went up in price because it's an old part and Ryzen 3 is out now, right? So if you were to keep the same build, the motherboards are getting more scarce. The chip itself is not, getting discounted as heavily as it was before because, why would you buy an 8300 now if you could just buy a Ryzen 3 1200, which is why I have a third proposed build list in that article now. And that's the one we built, the Ryzen 3 build.
They're trying to penalize you to prevent you from buying that FX 8300?
I don't know. You think they would just want to give them away at this point.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was looking this morning for another article on Amazon, and the FX 6300 was $137.
What?
And the Ryzen 3 1200 was $107. So.
What?
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
But yeah, this all proves, our Xbox One X review went up this morning. Hayden covered it for us, Hayden Digman. And he plays the whole thing and he says, hey, man, this is, roughly equivalent to a lot of gaming rigs with a 1060 or 580. And at $500 with the state of, PC part pricing these days, it gives you a ton of bang for your buck.
Yeah, I got to say that he brought it in. We did a video for the review, and I was surprised too. I was like, wow, okay. I mean, we only had Gears of War 4 to really test it on.
Yeah.
You know, so comparing it for the Xbox One, you know, the original Xbox One to the Xbox One X to the Omen X that we had in here. Yeah, it was a big jump, and I mean HDR is definitely a big thing, but then especially his in Gears of War 4 you can either switch between 1080p 60 or 4K 30, and Hayden preferred the 1080 60, and like
Good man.
seeing high frame rate on a console like that was pretty impressive. You know, because typically on a console you don't see that. I see Gordon squirming over there as I'm saying these things, but I'll also say real quick, there's plenty of people in the chat that say they enjoy both, Gordon.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's look, not that there's anything wrong with that. I just wanted to know, Adam.
Yes.
What did you guys use? Cherry MX Brown keyboard, or did you go with Reds? And was it a high DPI mouse? You played that?
They're working on adding keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox One X.
On adding keyboard and mouse?
The Xbox One X will also support 1440p and FreeSync monitors.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really blurring the lines.
Yeah. Well, so look, did you really use a controller? Right? There's no. Come on, there's USB ports on the damn thing. There's HID support built into the OS. Just support mouse and keyboard. You know why they didn't support mouse and keyboard in the original 360? Because like I remember they had those like weird things that make it work. Because then PC. Well, when they tried to and then they tried to have PC gamers play against console gamers, mouse and keyboards kicks the crap out of controllers, right?
No, actually, so I was at, I forgot, some kind of Windows event, and we were talking to Phil Spencer at one point about it, and he actually said specifically and candidly, the whole reason why it's taking a while to implement keyboard and mouse support is not because it's difficult. I mean, the Xbox One supports, like, I don't know about mouse, but keyboard support if you want to just use it to get around the operating system, right? But it's specifically because they have to figure out a way to make the experience not shitty for the
family
people.
show.
Sorry, not crappy.
Hey, a spade a spade.
There goes our chance to get Disney sponsorship.
They want to make sure that people using the controller just don't get like annihilated,
right?
You know, and so they're trying to figure out, like, do we implement, you know, different kinds of multiplayer modes for this? Do we change how we rank the leaderboards? Like, they were at the time, nothing official, of course, but it was just more of a general chat around the situation.
Sure. And I got to say that I don't have a problem with console gaming because there is no more console gaming. It's all PC gaming, right? At this point.
So then why do you crap on them so much?
What I'm saying is because people try to pretend consoles are like something different, like it's some weird cell processor that Toshiba cooked up for the thing, but for God's sake, it's just derivative PC parts at this point.
But if that's the case, why do you hate on them so much?
Turned off.
You don't even hate on people who play on integrated graphics, Gordon.
Well, if they had mouse and keyboard, maybe. I mean, there's just some, you know.
So that's the distinguishing factor?
No, but I mean, there's just some, there's no reason to say that. I think it's just because, look, for years and years and years, you got console gamers that are just crapped on PC gamers, right?
And how many years have PC gamers been crapping on console gamers?
Yeah, and that's just, it's
There's
payback.
a whole subreddit.
No, look, really. I mean, if you think about it, and also I have a problem when you can't admit the truth. The day Apple comes and kicks the crap out of PC, I will be the first person to say Apple has just beat us hands down, right? But console gamers, they just don't like. Look, the original Xbox, the original consoles came out, and they actually were higher performance than the best thing you could get in a PC at the time. And it was like we had to hang our heads and like, oh man, this sucks. And it lasted about 4 months, and then suddenly PC was in front again, and never went back.
That's what I think is interesting about this specific launch, actually, because with graphics cards prices being the way they are, if you're looking to get a solid, 1080p gaming performance these days, the Xbox One X is looking pretty good, man. It can do 1080p 60 no problem. It's the whole system for $500, whereas a 580 will cost you $300 by itself.
Right, but mouse and keyboard and Steam.
Yeah, but mouse and keyboard. One thing that I think that's interesting is that the reason I used to love playing consoles is because like you could rip it open and be playing Mario and 5 minutes. These days, the update process is like a PC, and
Oh my
it just
God, it's
flushed that
worse.
advantage right down
It's
the door.
worse.
Yeah.
You gotta wait hours and hours for the system update. You gotta wait hours to install the game to your hard drive. You gotta wait for the day one
Yeah.
patch.
It sucks, especially for all the people, because when I used to work for Official Xbox Magazine, we would get a lot of letters from people who were in more of rural parts of America, so they didn't really have broadband access. So they loved having a console because they didn't have to do all these updates. They didn't have to worry about,
They like the disc.
Now there's data
Yeah.
caps. And,
now there's data
You mean
caps.
the people that Don Matrix says should go on a nuclear submarine?
yeah.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that unfortunate turn that Microsoft took with the direction of Xbox.
I think they should have stuck with it personally. I mean, whatever. But
What,
that's
Telling
me.
people that they suck for supporting a system that they themselves had basically, cultivated. They basically just crapped on all of their hardcore fans at that period in time. They're like, yeah, everything you love about Xbox, gone.
Well, I think they were looking forward, right? They were looking at the world, and everybody believed this. I mean, analysts. I never believed it, but they all thought, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 would be the last consoles we ever see. Everything would be streamed down the road, right? Of course, that's not true because it's always about the heavy metal, right? Because now we are firmly, I don't know if everybody knows it, but we are into a hot shooting war of console hardware. Who makes it faster? Who makes it better, right?
Except for Nintendo. Nintendo still does their
Yeah,
own
but
thing.
Nintendo's, come on, right?
Well, they're still selling
Nintendo's
hand over fist
they
over
sell
any
hand
other
over fist, but
Yeah.
they're in a walled garden like Apple, right? They
It's
can
everybody's
ignore-
backup console.
They can ignore everything else, but what I'm saying is, if you don't believe that PlayStation 5 is going to come out and smash Xbox One X right in the nose with more performance, higher performance, or better features, then you're wrong, because we are in a new console war age.
Well, but every console gets better. I mean, you're stating the obvious here.
No, I you know what the obvious was 5 years ago? The obvious was there would never be another game console, right? It's all going to be streamed. Why would you do that? You run on a server somewhere, you get it streamed to your TV. That's just so much cheaper.
I feel like that was wishful thinking even when they thought it, though.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's because we we all knew it was baloney. But go ahead and you can find 50 articles and
Well, I know, but I mean, we're gonna go off the rails a little bit and talk about this.
we already are.
I live in San Francisco, right? I am probably the epitome of what people would call a coastal elite. And even I was looking at all those statements and thinking, y'all are crazy.
Right.
Because not everything in the U.S. is wired up the same way we are on the coast. And so this is complete. You have your head up your ass. I'm sorry, but...
family show. We're trying to get Disney
sorry,
sponsorship.
Disney. You can have Tinkerbell, silence me.
Don't get that mouse mad. That mouse can get really mad.
So you
I
have
hear she's using language like that again. What the?
copyright
I'm
infringement.
going down there right now.
Copyright infringement.
Is that your Mickey Mouse?
You get Eisner on the phone and call her up.
That is a really weird Mickey Mouse.
It's like if we were in some other country in the world that was tiny and it was completely networked appropriately, sure, but we're not.
Well, but I am serious though, right? Because Wall Street analysts move a lot of things. A lot of analysts really thought this was it. It's about the future. I mean, that's why the Xbox made this hard left turn, only online and connect, right? It's going to run your television experience. It's going to be a cable box. We don't care about gaming. It's like, we're getting a PlayStation 4, right? And it's like, wait, come back.
I mean,
I think the Xbox One X is the complete, them going, okay, we refute everything the last regime said. This is about the games again.
Yeah.
I think they learned from that mistake.
Yeah, because Kinect is officially dead now, too.
But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
at the same time, who really plays their console at home not hooked up to the internet? Like, who does that?
Right.
So I actually think they should have stuck with it. That's why I say that, because it's like, what? I mean, come on, you're gonna play Destiny 2. There's so many games
you
that
couldn't
require
play Destiny 2, but you could play a whole lot of games single player.
not when there's
Right.
day one
Without connected to the
patches.
internet.
That's
But
like,
see,
hey,
that's the problem.
like,
That's the reason why they angered so many of their fans, because the people who are in, say, on a farm somewhere that gets, maybe at best dial-up speeds, they can't do those patches. They can't really. They have to
so
go
I mean,
and.
they're boned either way. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
That's not true.
Stop swearing.
I live super rurally. Like, my town has less than 2,000 people. And the street that I'm on, like, I have fast internet, but if you travel 2 miles that way, people have to get like satellite internet beamed down to them. And they can play plenty of games that are not connected to the internet. But not if it's always. They couldn't play Destiny 2, but they could play JRPGs. They could play a racing game. They could play all kinds of stuff.
But they're not going to get patches. They're not going to get, updates. They're not going to get, anything else. Like,
right.
I mean,
so
it's a super borked like experience.
They
anyway.
have to end up doing things like, God, what did one person tell us? They basically had to tether their phone, like a Verizon phone that could get a signal, tether their phone so that they could get the connection to download this stuff. But then they were totally going over their data allotment. It is just nuts. It's just terrible.
Why don't they just drive their Xboxes down to some update center or something like that? You bring it in, you sit there. It's like an electric car. You drive up, you sit there for 5 hours while it tanks up, and then you go back to your farm.
I honestly wonder how many of those people actually just ended up bringing their consoles to work and quietly connecting to the network.
Oh no, that's definitely a thing.
Just letting it run while they actually work,
Oh, okay, wait. So we have totally gone off the rails, but you know what I want to know, because this was about versus PC.
Right.
Is there really a versus? Is there versus? For me, yeah, because clearly I'm an anti-console bigot.
Versus in what sense? Is it a viable option compared to the PC? Is that what you're asking?
Or do we even need to fight? Can't we just all get along?
Wait, are you saying this?
I'm saying
Are you feeling
I'm posing
okay?
this.
What's your temperature right now?
I am posing this as...
I think he's drunk again.
Oh, maybe. Maybe he found your stash of pumpkin beer.
You get those guys on the phone. We're going to get a dizzy rip down there right now.
Okay, I got to say, I was shocked by Hayden's review. Because,
really?
He's the same guy who wrote 9 reasons why he should just build a gaming PC instead of buying a console.
But it doesn't really have to be,
which is
versus.
still true.
It is still true.
It is still true for the most part, but the fact that he said, wow, if you want a certain level of performance and you don't need to go beyond that and you don't need the flexibility of PC, I can see it. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here. He didn't actually say this, but basically, he said that he could see why someone would get this.
Yep. Different strokes for different folks.
Or somebody
this actually has a
got
bunch of
to
stuff.
him.
It has HDR support, has 4K, has all. They're really starting to blur the lines. Xbox is, especially with their Xbox Play Anywhere and the Microsoft Store, and they're really trying to make it so. Look, man, if you just want a cheap Xbox One, that's cool. If you want this for your 4K TV, that's cool. If you want to game on PCs, you're kind of boned because the Microsoft Store sucks.
Yes, I discovered that when I started downloading games for benchmarking. Wow, that is not the Steam experience.
I downloaded Gears of War 4, which is ridiculous, over 100 gigabytes to download the damn game.
118.4.
And it took me 3 days to download that, whereas a game that size would take me about overnight on Steam.
Yeah, it's so slow. I don't know why their servers are so slow. We're here in the office, and I was downloading it as well to start benchmarking the Ryzen 3 build, and it took maybe 2 or 3 hours. I couldn't understand why. We're on a fiber connection here.
Yeah, things download. I can download 50 gig game in 20 minutes, it feels like. So.
Not on the Microsoft Store.
No, I don't get it.
Well, that sounds like a reason PC gaming is better.
Well, we'll find out. I already have the first set of benchmarks from the FX 8300.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Looking pretty interesting.
I'm just wondering because maybe we all like to just give trash talk everybody, but you know what? If you're into your console thing, fine, whatever. You're into PC gaming, good. Let's just why should we let's just admit the truth though, and PCs have better graphics.
I'm gonna get Adam to make a clip of you saying that, and every single time that you give me crap in the office about console games, I said crap. I'm just gonna hold up my phone and play that sound clip. That's what I'm gonna do now.
That is a good one. Can't we all just get along? I don't know.
Pull that sponsorship right now. It's all about Star Wars. Why aren't they talking about Star Wars? Kylo Ren.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
There's no segue. We're just going to talk about 8th gen laptops.
Hard
Everybody
turn.
cares.
Hard turn.
Just hard turn. Just kind of brakes, throw it in reverse, go down the speed, hit the parking brake, swing the front around.
One last thing though, I am
Rockford.
benchmarking our Ryzen 3 and also an FX 8300, the build for the Xbox One X equivalent. So benchmarks will go up next week. I'm aiming for Tuesday morning. So if you're interested in those, look for it then.
Boom.